Hello, and welcome to the 12 steps to make love, not war. So the 12 steps, they are a roadmap to, to enjoying the power of love instead of feeling the anguish of war, both inside and outside. So the premises behind these 12 steps actually came from a statement that I heard Joe Polish say, which is addiction is the opposite of connection. So today we're going to talk about step number 1, acknowledgement. So just take a minute to acknowledge yourself for actually taking this first step and reaching out for help. Because without that, there is no journey, no road. So the very first step or the very first thing is lifting your feet off the ground and kind of like a step. I'm actually doing it right now. And just, taking your feet off the ground. You may not have put it down yet, but it's off the ground. So that's where you're off, right? You've reached out, you've asked for help. It's the first process to a full rage recovery and a healthy life with a healthy relationship with love, both to yourself and to your family. So acknowledgement is, first of all, to acknowledge that there's a problem, right? Generally, you have an anger you can't control, and it's getting in the way of what you want. It's in between you and the happiness that you can have and the love and connection that you can have. It gets in the way, right? So, okay, we have a problem. There is something that I can't control or change that I want to get rid of in order to get to where I want to go, which is connection and feeling the power of love, so that I get more of that and build myself up that way. So just acknowledging that in the same way that an alcoholic says, hi, I'm Amanda, I'm an alcoholic. So I'm not really clinically an alcoholic, but I definitely have addictive behavioral patterns. And for me, it's more about rage and pushing away the people that I love and just self-love, really. So in the same way that you sit and say your name and state that you're an alcoholic, I practice saying, hi, my name is Amanda, and I'm a recovered angry wife. And I like the analogy, and it fits with me. If it doesn't fit with you, that's okay. You still learn from this program anyways. So acknowledgement is also about acknowledging bad behavior. And when I say bad behavior, and I say it a lot, and it's not like, you naughty girl, it's bad. Bad behavior simply is something that doesn't get you what you want. Bad behavior is something that doesn't give you or get you to connection with your partner, with your husband or your kids. So bad behavior simply just gives the result you want. It's as simple as that. Lashing out is bad behavior. No more, no less. It's just behavior that doesn't give us what we want. It doesn't get us. It stands in the way of connection, right? That's all it is. So acknowledgement is the opposite of coming up with justification and excuses and stories, which we all do, by the way. But the longer you tell yourself that it's okay to lash out, the more you justify, no one can live like this, and hearing your girlfriends or your mom talk, and the longer you tell that story of excuses to the bad behavior, whatever it was, lashing out, being short-tempered, yelling at your kids, it's not that you need to pound yourself for doing it, it's just bad behavior. So as soon as you can acknowledge to your husband or your partner, or your kids for that matter, sorry, I acted wrong. I yelled, there's no justification. The sooner you can get back on track and get to connection. If you stay in the story and justify, which we tend to do when we don't really want to see the scope of our, I don't want to see how much I hurt my husband. I don't want to see how bad I behave. It's embarrassing. So when I don't want to see it, I justify it and I come up with stories. But seeing it is so much more easy to just see it for what it is. I can all of a sudden start bitching and blaming and complaining, and I don't want to. It just comes out of my mouth. So if I quickly go to my husband, look him in the eyes, which I do, and I say, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. It's the complete opposite of what I wanted to do. I had the intention of just coming in through this door, giving you a big hug because I felt so much love riding home from work. And I step into the door. I see some mess. I see some stuff. And I become possessed. It triggers all these things that are just a habit in my brain, this danger signs, we cannot live together, all these things. And I do bad behavior. I tell him directly or indirectly that it is his fault. I'm blaming him. And that's all it is. So just come clean and say that that's what it is, right? So the sooner you can do that, the sooner you can get to connection. And that's where you want to go. Because connection equals feeling the power of love and filling yourself up with that power of love so that you can withstand all the times and withstand, withstand the pressure of just lashing out or breaking out or losing it, right? You can withstand that and come to a place where you don't lash out if you get a lot of connection and you get filled up with love. But if you stand in your own way of getting that, there's no way you can get to that point. So the next time something happens, big or small, you're going to lash out and lose even more of your power. So just know that. Okay? You want to go to the point of connection and you need to acknowledge your bad behavior to get there. The sooner you acknowledge it, come clean, the sooner you connect. And if your husband or partner is anything like mine, you could always go and give him a hug and say you're sorry and just come clean instead of making stories and excuses. And once you get there, you always have that choice. And once you get there, you're where you want to be, because the more connection you get and the more power of love you get, the sooner you'll become the best version of yourself, and it will spiral in the right direction instead of in the wrong direction. Yeah, so all you need is love, but you also want a roadmap to get to love and not all the detours, because we tend to give ourselves or go into all these detours when love is right in front of us. It's just to go over, look him in the eyes, hug him, and kiss him. That's literally all you need to do. But you get in your way, you get sour, you make excuses, you're really pissed at yourself for lashing out and acting out and not acting or being the loving, caring woman, mother, and wife that you know you are. So you're really mad at yourself. And that's why you make the stories and the excuses, at least if you're like me. Now, sometimes some of my clients, they are like my husband and vice versa. So it can swap from time to time. We can be different roles. But what's true is that if my husband lashes out, it's because I lashed out somewhere down the line and he just didn't react to it and he kept it inside. So I have to trust that and know that and acknowledge that I've acted really bad for a long, long time. And he's not like me. He doesn't lash out easily, but he has come to a point. Actually, when I started acting better, he started acting more like me. So just remember that. So all you need is love, but you want a way to get there that will get you there safely without all the detours where you actually get lost. You want to be in connection. And when I say connection, I mean like making love or practicing love instead of just saying I love you. Because I can go on and on about that, and then it's something completely different when I see him. Something happens sometimes that makes me act like I don't love him. So to him, all these big words don't really mean a thing if I don't act like it. But when we're in connection, when we have eye contact, and when we are on the same pace without words, usually, when I can just relax and go with the flow and be on his terms and still be myself and see how that plays out, then we're in connection. So connection is love without saying, necessarily just saying I love you, but showing it in a way that your partner understands it, in a way where you're receiving it. So you know when you're in that situation. So just to sum up, acknowledgement is simply to acknowledge that you have anger inside of you that's not serving you. There is some uncontrollable anger, something in the way standing between you and the love for yourself, love for your husband, and for your kids that you want to remove, right? And if you're like me, you don't have a problem expressing anger, you have a problem controlling it, but it could also be the other way around or a mix of the two, okay? So there's something we can't change or control, and we need to acknowledge that and look at it instead of looking the other way and just denying it and saying, pretending everything's okay, because you're never going to change anything if you just pretend it's okay and you don't have the guts to say it out loud or say it to yourself at least, right? So either way, you need to acknowledge that you need help, okay? Something inside you is tearing you down more than building you up, and you need to change that, because then over time you'll be stronger and have a better life instead of the opposite. You just need to tip that, okay? Once you do more of what gets you connection and less of what stands in the way of connection, you will have more power inside you from love that you get from your source of love inside when you do things good to yourself or from your husband. You know, when you cuddle up and you hug your husband or your kids and all of them at one time, it fills you up, right? It builds you up, and that is just what you need. You need to do that more often and do less of lashing out. And it's okay that 9 out of 10 times you may still lash out, but just celebrate that one time and go for that one time where you're able to not lash out in a situation where you would otherwise lash out. That's the only aim here. So you're going to land on step number 1, acknowledgement, many, many times. Just acknowledge, okay, I acted wrong, I acted poorly, and then you continue the work. So this is the simple truth to cracking the code of life, is just to do more do's than don'ts, because then you build yourself up rather than tear yourself down. And the key to changing any self-destructive addiction, and as you all know, I view anger as an addiction. So to people who are like me, anger is like alcohol to an alcoholic. It serves you not, right? So it doesn't serve you. You want to do less of it. It's not going to break your whole world. It's just not going to make you be the better version of yourself if you continue to be angry all of the time. You need to work on being less angry and celebrate that. So the key to changing any self-destructive addiction is to replace a bad habit with either a not so bad habit or a good habit, like running or swimming in the ocean. Now I've gone around saying I used to be addicted to sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now I'm addicted to winter bathing, Netflix, and chocolate. So I have one not bad habit, which is jumping in the ocean, and Netflix, not so good. Chocolate, not so good. But still, it's better than other bad habits, right? So I can't change who I am. I can't change the fact that I can resist anything but temptation, quote Oscar Wilde. I can't change that, but I always have a choice. Sooner or later, I might not. I didn't used to feel like I had a choice when I lashed out. I felt so sad afterwards. I felt so bad putting my kids through it. I felt so stuck at war with my husband. But at one point, back in the days, it might take a week of a pity party before I had a choice or felt like I had it. But you always have a choice. Even though you lash out and that's uncontrollable within you, or something happens, that's fine. That is what it is. But once that is done, you have a choice. So the choice is, once you've lashed out, break out, you've freaked out, or whatever you did, or you scolded yourself for hours for doing something you shouldn't have done, whatever tantrum you went on, there comes a time when you have a choice. And then you can have the choice to make excuses for what you did, or you can acknowledge what you did. And you have several other choices that we're going to go more into from where you want to go at this point. So like you have a choice to go to your partner and make up, or just wait, trust, and wait it out till he comes back. And a very good choice is sometimes not to do anything. And that's what we'll get to into in step number 2, called surrender. But before we get to that, you need to stay in the step you're in, as my business coach always said. So acknowledgement sets you free, right? That's the whole point of acknowledgement, is just to look at the shit or the problem, or call it what it is. No more, no less. It sets you free. It doesn't free you from responsibility. It just means you recognize it's your problem, right? Instead of blaming the world around you. And that's what gives you the power. And it takes courage, because we think automatically, if we acknowledge it as our fault, quote unquote, or our problem, that then it's going to be bad for us. We're scared of that. But actually that gives you the power, because once you acknowledge that something around you is happening due to something inside of you or your choices, once you acknowledge that, you actually tell your brain that you have the power to change what's outside of you. If you look at what's happening outside of you, you're telling your brain that you're powerless, that something has been done to you. So by acknowledging, shit, I just bitched and moaned and complained at you. I had no control over it. In my experience, it just happened. It came out of my mouth. I didn't want to say these things to you, but I want to make it up. I want to change it. You just acknowledge what you did instead of, I know I've told myself these stories so many times. So notice if you hear yourself telling yourself, it's okay what I did. Of course, I could not have lashed out. Of course, I'm in the right to scream at him, or I'm in the right to tell him he's stupid. Don't tell yourself that story. What's done is done. And if your husband or partner is anything like me, he's not really taking it, that serious anymore anyways. But you just can't go on and on telling yourself that it's okay, because it's not serving you. So don't train your brain with making excuses, because you're giving away your power every time you lash out. Every time you're short-tempered, you're giving it away. You just need to take it back by acknowledging it and being truthful and towards your kids, and not, mommy acted wrong, or to your husband. So just to sum up and come with some confessions that might give you some hope. If you're anything like me, to me, even love has been an addiction in a way. So you can be in places where you need love and affection so badly that you get a little crazy if you don't get it. And that's just the part that you need to acknowledge, that it's all happening inside your head. There's very little to do. Your partner may trigger it, but all the insecurity and all the variables, they're inside you. He's probably like mine, very constant train, right? And he's not really changing, but your insecurity can go up and down, right? So when that happens, when you get into desperation mode, if you're like me, then it becomes impossible for your husband or partner to love you in that situation, because you are literally pushing people away because you're desperate. You think that love is scarce and it's gonna disappear, instead of just trusting and waiting for it. And that's exactly how my husband behaves. He's the opposite of me. So just know that if maybe your relationship with love is actually controlling your behavior, it's not whether or not he loves you. And we don't always believe it, but deep down we know it. Our husbands, our partners, they love us. They don't mean to hurt us in any way. We just become insecure, right? So just acknowledge your behavior for what it is, that it has very little to do with his. And we, of course, don't see that in the situation. Emotions take over, insecurity take over. But once you come back to sanity, just regroup and acknowledge. Once you're able to acknowledge, that means you're in your power. You're not losing it anymore. As soon as you can acknowledge your bad behavior, you're on the right track. You're on the great step of the 12 steps. You don't need to take all 12. Just stay in the step you're in. And as soon as you can acknowledge, you've put your foot down and taken that step. So that's really all you need to do. Okay. So let's say you're on the journey. You're not listening to me anymore. You're out in the real world with your real love life, with your children and your partner, and you lashed out. Bam. Okay, just take a moment. Acknowledgement is just taking a second and a moment and stopping and saying, okay, that happened. I failed. What the fuck? Fail and recommit. Go back to acknowledgement. Just start over again. Just acknowledge what happened. Okay, so that's one. Tick. And I'll try to do better next time. That's all you can do. All right? No more, no less. Acknowledging your bad behavior, no more, no less. Don't blow it out of proportion. As long as you're moving in the right direction instead of the wrong, it's okay. And you're going to be in the wrong, quote unquote, direction sometimes, until you can acknowledge what you just did, that it was bad behavior. So don't think about what your husband or partner did or did not do. That is not going to serve you. And you actually do need to feel like a failure in order to do the work. It is part of it. And it's not bad to feel like a failure. That just means that you acknowledge your mistakes, and failure will become your success. So even that, it's okay to feel like. It just means you're doing inner work. And so failure is actually a symptom of your big ambitions. Now, it took me a while to figure this one out. I am super ambitious. I'm a career woman. I used to work in investment banking. I sued my bank and I studied law, blah, 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 all of that. I'm super ambitious also when it comes to love, and I have high standards for love that I don't live up to. And that's the reason why I feel like a failure. So I feel like there's a huge gap between how I want to act as a mother and a wife and how I act in daily life. Like it's the complete opposite. So if you're like me, remember it's your ambition, and ambition is good. So the more you feel like a failure, the more ambition you have, you just get on up and don't quit. Don't settle, don't divorce, don't say it's okay. Just be aware and keep on moving and just recognize it. And sooner or later you will feel, wow, there's one test that I passed and I didn't fail. But it does feel like a lot of failure, but that's what moves you forward. Yeah, so that's the key to moving forward. Fail faster and have acknowledgement with you. So if you acknowledge that you need help, that's all you need to do right now. And it's also part of self-love exercise. It's not blaming yourself. Deep down, all of this comes to ourselves. If I didn't blame myself, this took me a long time to realize. So if you don't know what I'm saying right now, don't worry about it. But if I wasn't blaming myself, I wouldn't have the need to blame my husband. And I have literally blamed him for everything for so long. We've laughed about it a lot. And of course, it wasn't funny for him, but it was so extreme that I blame him for moving things that I always ended up finding I had moved myself. So the less it was his fault, the more I would blame him. And that's just an analogy, but I was blaming me deep down. I was blaming myself for lashing out. I was blaming myself so much that I had to blame him. If I didn't blame myself, it wouldn't be a question of guilt or fault. So when you acknowledge that you need help, you also stop blaming yourself. Okay. So I just want to go through some Q&As quickly. I had a question earlier. What do you do if you feel there is no communication? Like if you're lying back to back with the one you love? So again, acknowledgement, just acknowledging what's going on and putting it into words can help. Like acknowledge, right now I'm really scared of talking about this with you, honey, or just saying what you're afraid of will make it a lot easier to just put it into words. And remember, you always have a choice. I can't lie back to back for very long with my husband, and I'm really a sobbing pity party mess if I do. I really feel it's his fault if I do. And I just always turn around and I hug him. And that's for me acknowledgement of the problem, what's going on. Don't pretend it's not happening. Don't lie there for too long, is what I'd say. If there is no communication, you just open your mouth and talk, or you open your arms and you hug. That would be my best answer to that. And remember the famous AA words. I don't know them word by word, but it's give me the strength to accept what I cannot change. And just accept yourself the way you are. That's the only way. And accept your husband the way he, or your partner the way they are. Once you do that, you'll give the room for yourself to change a little bit and they to change, but don't let it be the direct goal to change. Don't expect yourself to change. Don't expect him to change. Just acknowledge the things that you cannot change and give you the strength and courage to change what you can, which is acknowledging your wrong behavior and doing the work, asking for help. Acknowledging that you need help. You can do that. You don't need to worry about whether or not you can actually change your bad habits, as long as you just one by one implement habits that are not as bad or even good habits. All right? Okay, that's it for today with step number 1, acknowledgement. Welcome to the show and to the program, and I'm so glad to have you here, and I can't wait to help you and serve you the best way that I can, using honesty as my superpower. And give me any feedback at all would be great. Just let me know if this is helping, what you want more of, what you want less of. I'm very open to feedback. All right, you guys. Thank you, and welcome to step 1 of the 12 steps to make love, not war. We will rejoin tomorrow for step number 2, surrender. Stop trying to fix things. All right, you guys. Can't wait to talk to you again. Bye-bye.